Have you ever wondered who the 12 Olympian gods of Greek mythology were and what they were all about? I mean, forget everything you learned from those boring history lessons. We're talking about the real stories. Yes, we're going to bring this ancient mythology to life. Shall we begin? Let's start with a little backstory. You see, the 12 Olympian gods and goddesses were the third generation of gods in Greek mythology. The Olympian gods were basically born from the first generation of gods, the Titans. You see, the leader of the Titans, Cronus, was a bit of a paranoid guy. He feared that his own children would overthrow him just as he had overthrown his father. So, to prevent this, he swallowed his children as soon as they were born. Yup, you heard that right. He ate them. However, his fears proved to be true. His wife, Rhea, couldn't bear to see her children suffer the same fate as their siblings. So she secretly gave birth to Zeus and hid him away from Cronus. Now, our little Zeus grew up to be a strong and powerful god. And when he was old enough, he managed to free his siblings from Cronus's belly. Got it? Now, after leading the battle against Cronus, Zeus became the chief and ruled over all other gods. His power was absolute, and he controlled the earth and the sky. Next up, we have Hera, the queen of the gods. As the goddess of marriage and fidelity, Hera was pretty much the only Olympian who actually stayed faithful to her spouse, Zeus. But don't let that fool you, because Hera was also one vengeful goddess. Now, Zeus had a lot of extramarital partners, and Hera made sure to torment every single one of them. Next, here comes Poseidon. When Zeus became king of the gods, he decided to divide up the universe among his brothers. Poseidon was lucky enough to be given dominion over the seas and waters of the world. He had the power to create storms, floods, and earthquakes, which made him one of the most feared and respected Olympian gods. Demeter. Now, Demeter was known as the good goddess to the people of the earth because she oversaw the production of food. And let me tell you, people really loved their food back in the ancient world, so Demeter was a pretty big deal. Alright, let's move on to Athena. You see, as the daughter of Zeus and his first wife, Metis, Athena had a pretty interesting entrance into the world. Now, Zeus was afraid that if he had a son, that son would eventually overthrow him, just like he had overthrown his own father. So, to prevent this from happening, he swallowed Metis. But, as luck would have it, Metis managed to survive and ended up fashioning armor for Athena while inside Zeus. Eventually, the pounding from within Zeus's head became too much to bear, and Hephaestus had to split his head open with an axe. And there came out Athena, fully grown and ready for action. Artemis, the goddess of the moon, forests, archery, and the hunt. Artemis and her twin brother Apollo were born to Zeus and the Titaness Leto, despite Hera's efforts to prevent their birth. While Apollo was cheerful and bright, Artemis was quiet, dark, and solemn. She had no interest in marriage and was the patron goddess of feminine fertility, chastity, and childbirth. In addition, Artemis was heavily associated with wild animals, and the bear was considered sacred to her. Next up is Apollo, Artemis's twin brother, who was the god of the sun, light, music, prophecy, medicine, and knowledge. Apollo was considered the most handsome of the gods and was immensely popular among both gods and mortals. He enjoyed singing, dancing, and drinking, and took after his father in the pursuit of mortal women, though not always successfully. Moving on, we come to Hephaestus, the god of smiths and metalwork. There are varying accounts of his birth, with some saying that he was the son of Zeus and Hera, while others claim that Hera conceived them alone to get back at Zeus for Athena's birth. Hephaestus was horribly ugly by the standards of the gods and goddesses, and Hera threw him from Olympus, which left him permanently lame. He learned the blacksmith's trade, built himself a workshop, and became the god of fire, metallurgy, sculpture, and crafts. Speaking of Aphrodite, let's take a closer look at her. She was the goddess of love, beauty, and sexuality, and was married to Hephaestus against her wishes. Aphrodite enjoyed flings with mortal humans, and was known for promising the beautiful, already married Queen Helen, thus kicking off the legendary Trojan War. Her affair with Ares didn't go unnoticed by Hephaestus, who used his craftsmanship to fashion a trap and mock the ensnared lovers in front of the other gods and goddesses. Last but not least, we have Ares, the god of violent war. Unlike his sister Athena, who oversaw strategy, tactics, and defensive warfare, Ares reveled in the violence and bloodshed that war produced. His aggressive nature and quick temper made him unpopular with the other Olympians, except for Aphrodite, and he was equally disliked among mortals. Now, other than these big gods, there's two other smaller deities who aren't considered that much. But we can't let them down, right? First up, we have Hestia, the goddess of the hearth. She was the final sister of Zeus, and the most gentle of all the goddesses. Now, let's talk about Hades, the king of the underworld. Hades was the god of the dead, overseeing the underworld and the souls that came there. So, alright guys, this is the story of the 12 Greek gods, but this is just a scrape of what's underneath, and there's a ton of stories behind these gods. But you guys know where to look for. So better stay tuned and we'll meet again in another episode soon.